Here's a fun card making technique that uses two embossing folders, and I'll show you what I mean coming up next. I'm gonna ink up a panel. I'm gonna use the Neenah Solar Crest 110 pound. I'm going to use SimonSaysStamp's Positively Saturated ink in the Violet, Surf, and Sprout, and blend those together. One thing I like about these positively saturated inks is that they are self-leveling. Now they may look splotchy as I'm blending it, but as it dries, they will level out and look very smooth. They're really very nice. I'll finish inking this panel off screen and set it aside to dry. I embossed a couple panels with the Honeybee Stamps Spring Medley embossing panel. You can see that's a really pretty panel. And from this, I used the SimonSaysStamp Layered Hummingbird die set. And that is very pretty. I don't know if you can see the detail on that. So die cutting from an embossed panel is really interesting, very pretty. It provides a lot of dimension too for the card. I went ahead and stamped and embossed some sentiments from the Honeybee Big Time Kindness stamp set and die cut them out. I cut an extra layer for dimension as well. So I've ink blended the panel, and you can see it's smoothed out pretty well. There's a couple brush marks there, but that's going to be covered over anyway. And now I'm going to emboss this with the Spellbinders 3D embossing folder of the month, and this is called the Patchwork embossing folder, and it's a really pretty embossing folder. So pretty. One thing I like to do is leave my panel in the embossing folder until it dries. That reduces the risk of the panel warping. Not that it would warp so much in this case, because I only spritzed it on the back. I didn't want the front to react to the water, because this is water reactive ink. So I wanted it to be just the blended front, no droplets of water to show. The downside to using the water only on the back side is that you do get a little bit of cracking, but that's going to be trimmed off, so it won't really matter. Okay, I messed up that first panel because I embossed it upside down. I went from purple down to green, and I really want to keep it green down to purple. So I'll let this dry and even out, and then I will use the Spellbinders embossing folder once again. I inked up a new panel and embossed it, and I'm going to cut it down now, trim it down, and I'll be right back. I mounted the card front onto the mat and added some foam tape, and I'll go ahead and mount that onto the card and assemble all of the pieces. I like to put a little bit of glue on the foam tape in case I mess up and get it crooked, which I frequently do. The glue gives me a little bit of time to straighten it out. I'm doubling up the sentiment die cut just for a little bit of dimension. I don't want too much because I've got the foam tape behind the card panel, and I don't want it to get too bulky. But because the card panel is embossed, I do like to keep the sentiment raised up just a bit. So I added a little bit of embellishment and a little foam square behind his wing. It kind of pops up anyway, but so that's the finished card. I really like these Spellbinders foam squares because they are very low profile. I don't know if you can see that, but they really minimize the bulk, and but they still give you some dimension to your card. I hope you're inspired to give this technique a try. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.